Okay, so to add the bounce, we're going to use something called a nonlinear deformer. So I'm going to come up here to deform, and it's going to say nonlinear, and I'm going to click on squash. So the squash deformer, if I just leave it selected right there and come over here to its inputs, I can see squash 1, and I can go ahead and increase that factor value. Like there's a factor of 5, there's a value of 1, there's a -2, etc., etc. So we're going to do that to actually make the ball look like it's squashing. But if I move the ball, you can see that the squash doesn't move with it. So I need to make those two things the same, or parented together as it were. So with the squash selected, that's this little ring on the outside and the two little gizmos on the top, I'm going to hold shift and select the ball. And then I'm going to hit P for parent. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide to frame 15, and I'm going to go ahead and give this a squash value of like a -0.5. That looks good. Now it didn't set a keyframe, so I'm going to left click where it says factor and hit and right click and key selected. So that's going to go ahead and key that keyframe for me. So I'm going to go back to frame 0. I'm going to make that a 0. And it should auto key. Perfect. Then I'm going to go to frame 30. Make that a 0.3. So it's kind of expanding at the top of that bounce. Go to frame 45. Make that a -0.25. And again, these are just numbers that I'm just kind of trying. They don't really mean anything. It's just whatever I think looks the best. So that's going to be a 0.12. And then you go to frame 75. 75 is a -0.22. And then of course frame 90, we can have it do 1. Or, sorry, 0. Okay. So now we have this problem of the ball squashing before it hits the ground. So how do we fix that? Well, the way we fix that is we're going to go to frame 15, go 2 before it, and give it a factor of 0. That's going to actually prevent the ball from squashing until right before it has to. Now to your eye, it's actually going to look like it's squashing at the right place, even though we know we're cheating to make that happen. Boop, boop, boop. Whoops, messing with my factor value. There we go. And that is it for squash and stretch. Perfect.